This is something important.
Yeah, that's me, elbow deep in a busted transfer case from a 2003 ML55 AMG. And I bet you're wondering how I got here. Spoiler alert, it involves bad ideas, broken parts, and more than a few laughs with Alex from Legit Streetcars. But before we dive into this glorious mess, let's rewind a bit and talk about the harebrained scheme that got us into this pickle. So make sure you like and subscribe because you're going to want to stick around. You might just be inspired to build your own questionable masterpiece. So here's a picture I can easily paint for y'all. Alex calls me up with a wild idea. Let's turn an ML55 AMG into an off-road beast, he says. Now, you might think he's joking, and I did too, but nope, he was dead serious. I mean, why not? Luxury SUVs aren't exactly rare in the trails, right? Okay, they are. But back in the day, I had a customer that wanted something different, so we lifted an X5. Not wanting to do what was popular and stick some 22s on it and call it a street truck, we decided to lean into the activity of the sports activity moniker and lift it with some goodies to match. Alex saw that and thought, why not me? Except his off-road experience, let's just say it's non-existent. So we set out to turn his soccer practice chariot into something that could handle it the wild. In the automotive world, people love to measure performance, quarter miles, dyno pulls, you name it. But off-roading, it's a different beast. No lap times or dyno numbers, just raw capability. Sure, the forums are full of naysayers, transfer case this, and it'll never last. Well, spoiler alert, they were right, but that's the fun of learning, by doing. So here's the thing, building cars isn't just about performance metrics. It's about the journey, the mistakes, and the learning. It's about tackling something out of the ordinary and making it your own. Alex wanted to push his ML to its limits, and I had just the place in mind. Drummond Island. A winter rally on a snow-covered trail. Perfect for a trial by fire or by snow. This location would give Alex the perfect opportunity to build a test rig and begin his path of learning off-road. If we could get there on time, Alex could be pretty flexible with projects in the past, but being that this was during the COVID winter lockdown of 2021, there wasn't much else going on. We needed to lift the W163 and get some knobby tires on it and see what happens. So we set on our sights on the date, which is 4 weeks away, and we got to work. We kicked things off with the torsion bar lift. Now, torsion bars are like the unsung hero of suspension systems, long metal rods that act as springs. They resist twisting when your car's bouncing around. One end bolts to the frame and the other end connects near the axle via a lever. Adjusting them can change your ride height, which is exactly what we needed for this rusty old ML. A simple tweak wasn't going to cut it here, so we had to take everything apart, clean it up, and crank the bolts to reorientate the torsion keys. But trust me, getting those bars back in place, kind of a total nightmare. Picture Alex and me with a pry bar that's almost as tall as I am, wrestling those things into submission. Next up, shocks. We dove into the Bilstein catalog and picked replacements for the ML's worn out shocks. They weren't exact fits, but hey, when you run a fab shop, you can always persuade parts into place. A little cutting, a little custom welding, and voila, shocks ready to take on whatever terrain we could throw at them. But for the rear springs, we needed some more height, so we slapped on some bigger spacers. Sure, you could find 1-inch spacers off the shelf, but it wasn't going to clear the 35s we were thinking about running, so we whipped up a custom 2-inch urethane spacer. Because when in doubt, make it yourself. Now the torsion bar lift handled the front, but for those chunky 35s, we had to lift the body off the frame and enter the controversial body lift. Some off-roaders swear by it, others think it's the devil's work. We didn't have very many aftermarket options, so we improvised with a wait for it, hockey puck. Yep, we drilled holes, longer bolts, and suddenly we had enough clearance. But that led us to the fun stuff, finally, the wheels and tires. Now, we could have gone with 33s, but where's the wow factor in that? 35s brought the shock factor we were aiming for, and to complete the look, we designed custom rock rings for the wheels, because a bend should look classy even when it's ready to tear through a trail. Speaking of fun, let's talk about the bumper. We needed something that screamed, I can take down a tree. And since the aftermarket didn't offer anything that matched that vision, we built a custom bumper from tube steel, textured it with black powder coat, and loaded it with accessories, winch, lights, because rescuing buddies in style is pretty much mandatory. Of course, with the rig nearing completion for our 500-mile journey in the nick of time, we took it on a test drive, and naturally, an engine fan decided to die, but a quick universal fan install saved the day. So we hit the highway for our trip to northern Michigan with snowy trails calling, and we made the last ferry of the night with a bit of time to spare. After a weekend of wheeling and a few laughs and memories to last a lifetime, Alex was bit by the off-road bug. And then fast forward a year, and Alex has us heading to the Badlands in Indiana. 4 hours in, the ML's transfer case gave up, but that didn't stop us. We rented a Polaris RZR and discovered the world of side-by-sides and had an absolute blast. Which has me asking you guys, what do you think about side-by-sides? Are they cheating if you're a car guy? Let me know in the comments. The next year, Alex swapped the broken transfer case for a bargain, tightened everything down, and on the next trip, the transfer case held and the front suspension bolts didn't. We rigged the truck trail side, kept wheeling, and pushed the ML further than ever until a ball joint nut snapped. And that takes us to this year, where we were really starting to see the truck's capabilities before its little Achilles heel started to act up. All right, so Attic, Illinois, our yearly off-road family trip.
That's right.
And we've got one of our joint projects that famously at this point we brought out.
It just comes to this.
And it's back out here, and Alex is rotting it the way Alex would be rotting it.
Yeah.
And already we're running into a few tiny problems. Let's show them why we had to come back in.
First things first, we got a bit of an exhaust rattle, and I think I can fix that. So we just got off the road, and this is very loose, our AMG tailpipe.
Don't you know an exhaust guy, Alex?
I have heard of an exhaust guy. That's pretty deep. Okay.
He
That's what I thought.
he probably should have looked at that before.
Oh, this is straight up broken.
Oh, okay. Then we can feel better about that.
Wow, I'm not that strong. This is metal that I'm literally breaking apart with my fingers.
That's the, I'm assuming the corrosion from last year must have just finally.
Yeah, this one's hitting too, but we can't take this one off as easy because it's part of the muffler. So we might have to
bend it down?
Yeah, kind of give it a little bend.
Maybe we'll just put a spacer in there later.
Yeah, so that's fixed.
So last year, Alex had some problems. I was out there with him in his video series, and he basically had his lower control arm.
It was the upper ball joint.
Upper ball joint.
It completely popped out.
Popped out. I think we robbed a nut from the upper, and
shock.
Sure enough, that nut's missing again. Whether broken or wrong, we're not sure, but
it's not there anymore.
The problem being is that it kind of got beat up and mushroomed out a little bit, and there's no great way to fix it with what we found at Ace Hardware, Tractor Supply. So unfortunately,
OJ ingenuity time.
We're gonna have to mechanic this up on the road.
Yeah.
Now let's turn the wheel. Try to see if we can see in here. And there's the problem. There's no nut on that. Now you might say, why don't you just get a nut and put it on top of there? But it looks like to us, we've got the proper thread. The top's mushroomed out just enough that we cannot get a nut on top of there. Now we could pull the shock out, find a tap and die, get it all rethreaded and nice in there, but it's not really going to work on the road and what we could find in town. So we don't want to chop it up. We don't want to mess it up. We're trying to think what is available that we could kind of rig it up that won't damage it long term, that'd be repairable.
Yeah, and luckily we still have the bushing and the little spacer for the shock. So as long as we can clamp this down.
But you saw the amount of threads on there, so what can we do to keep that on there? Here's what we came up with. All right, follow along here. So we got our bushing, rubber, washer. That's gonna go on the thread. Like I said, we don't want to mess it up, but we found these. Now these are some sort of shaft collar, and if you look, the size is about right. And we've got a little Allen bolt on there. It's hard to focus here. So the idea is we're gonna toss that on there. Now, normally I'd say that's probably not gonna be enough for what we're gonna be doing, and we're just gonna run into the same issue when that guy pops off. But what I'm thinking is we put one of those on there, we throw a snap ring on one of the threads, and then we throw another one on top of there. That might be enough holding force to keep this thing down. We're about to find out. Now it's not going as easy as we thought. The snap ring's kind of fighting us a little bit. And with the bushing and washer on there, it looks like it's gonna be a little tighter than I anticipated. So we might have to use one in a snap ring, but I think if we get them both on there, it'll keep the shock in place. So like this snap ring here, but let's see if we can get it on there because we already lost one snap ring. I got one more. All right, that's a nut. Oh no.
No, it's there.
It's there.
So, Dad.
All right, keep an eye on it this time.
Does this have a flash?
That's it, dude.
Oh,
Nice and tight.
you got the clip on there.
Yeah.
Nice. That'll hold it. Yeah.
Especially when you crank that thing down,
This is like it looks factory.
right? This isn't the worst janky fix we've ever done.
No, this is too nice. We should just throw a zip tie over it just for good measure.
The head's not moving.
Okay.
All you're doing is fighting the downward
Right.
movement. You know what I mean? The upward movement is controlled by that bushing in the bottom of the shock. So
I think
as
we
long
might be
like
all
there,
right.
it's just the weight of the arm coming out of there. So in theory, if it keeps that guy there shouldn't be too much effort on it, you know? So, well, let's try it out.
There's only one way to find out, OJ. There's only one way to find out.
Alex driving it.
When you're off-roading, this can get very annoying.
Pretty annoying.
Yeah, and all the clips are broken.
Was it someone supposed to, with an automotive shop, to bring you some clips?
Well, it was last minute, OJ. I appreciate you even looking, to be honest with you, but
You'd think I would have had some, but
yeah, I don't have any either. But there we go. It's nothing a little.
I think that's probably about as good as clips.
Probably better than the ML design.
Especially if you close it in the
Oh yeah, it'll help.
yeah, you
hold
close
it.
it. Yeah, that'll keep it. That'll keep it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is an off-road fix, so that's about as good as it gets. Well, no, you know what? As good as it gets is what we just did over there.
Yeah, that's too good.
Let's take a look at that one more time. Look at that. That almost might be factory.
This is the best right here. This will be the best. So
Oh.
this keeps on hitting here, and we really won't be able to fix it. But if we layer the black tape on the back side or the bottom side of the bumper, it'll act as a cushion.
A cushion, let's call it an exhaust bump stop.
It's an exhaust bump stop. Watch. Okay,
Ex-
it's a different note now.
And an exhaust limiter.
Yes, that's right. You just need
Exhaust travel limiter. That's
just
the
need more.
That's the technical.
Yeah. And
Definition.
it's black, so it matches the bumper.
No one's even gonna know it's there.
Exactly.
All right, back on the road. I think we got it secured.
It's not gonna break.
It's not gonna break.
It's not gonna break.
It's not gonna break. How's that shock?
So far, so good.
Any knocking?
Dude, this is the tightest this thing has felt in years.
Do you actually hear anything? Is it actually?
No,
seem like
seriously, it's good. It's good. Yeah. I mean, outside of the steam there, but that's just water. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it
Oh,
looks like it is. No, that's just water.
That's water.
Bad news. So we got the ML not working its best right now, and I think it's something that we ran into 2 years ago.
Live and learn. Not really.
Alex is thinking the transfer case went out again. So we are currently strapping it back up to bring it back. It just isn't going forward, and you know, there's not much we can really do besides limp it home at this point. So we'll get it back, we'll take a look, but honestly, I think it's done for the trip.
You want to hear it? Sounds pretty awesome. It's already done.
Let's see what it sounds like.
Yeah. It intermittently doesn't start.
The fuel flowback thing, or the
fixed-
crank sensor.
Yeah.
One of those two. That hurts me to hear. Let's just tow it back. Don't blow it up.
No, I mean, it's already blown up, but yeah.
Don't blow it up anymore. There's no guts on the ground yet, so.
Right, exactly.
Back in the shop, it was clear. The transfer case was toast again. This thing is pretty much probably already cashed. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see some damage inside there. And I don't know what the fix is. Really, the fix that Alex did before was just toss a new transfer case in there. But I think just for the sake of knowing what's going on with it, we should pull the cover off and try to see just what happened. You know, maybe the chain's broken in there. Maybe, maybe we just put a new chain on there and it'll roll out of here.
Yeah, something
but
simple.
the problem with that though is that this thing had, I think, like 3 chains that were possible that could have been on this car. So I can't just order a chain and have it here.
Yeah.
Like we'll have to probably count the links or whatever's left over. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, definitely.
what I'm thinking is loosen the bolts on the drive shaft, and what do you think? You think we can fit that out of there?
Yeah, we probably can. I mean, if we
Drop
just
it, shift it back maybe?
Yeah, disconnect it back from the differential and just a support bearing and try to wiggle it out just to,
Yeah, let's do that
do
and
the
just,
minimal effort of removing a lot of stuff.
just focus on getting the cover off.
Yeah.
I don't want to drop the exhaust yet. If we can focus on getting the cover off and just seeing what's going on, we can button this back up and ship it back to Alex or something. But
yeah.
he might end up trying to upgrade this thing. Apparently, there's a Jeep transfer case that might fit inside of these, that if you get the converter plate and then switch a few things here, you can actually get like a Jeep JK transfer case, which would keep these things from breaking, because this is the second one he's busted.
Damn.
So, but the solution isn't just throwing another used one in there, because he's probably going to break it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just see if we can get the Carnage inside of here, and we'll go from there. Looks like we had some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Before it turned muddy. A lot of metal in there. The gears busted out of the planetary housing.
Yep.
Woo. Metal shrapnel everywhere. This is a pretty big chunk. Looks like the case of the planetary. There's no saving this one. This is part of the planetary gear set that busted here. Absolute catastrophic inside of here. It is gross. Unsavable, which we knew that going in, but I'm surprised it wasn't the chain first. They say the chain's a weak link, and it looks like the whole gear set blew up. So yeah, he's definitely gonna have to come up with something stronger here if he wants this thing to actually be able to spend some time off-road. Otherwise, he's gonna be putting one of these in every trip. So, well, it's good to know. We'll get the case the rest of the way off, but honestly, I think you've seen what you need to see. Why not just slap in another transfer case and call it a day? Well, if we did that, what's to stop it from happening again? We knew we needed a better solution, so we've been brainstorming ways to ensure this will never happen again. Enter the rumor mill. Could a Jeep JK transfer case fit? Now, I know you might be thinking, how exactly? Well, that's the million-dollar question. We're possibly diving into unfamiliar territory here, folks. Maybe. We've heard whispers, but nothing solid. But that research and solution, we'll have to wait for another video. Here's the thing about projects like this. They're unpredictable, messy, and sometimes downright frustrating. But that's what makes it worth it. Seeing the reactions when you roll up in an ML55 amongst a sea of Jeeps, it's priceless. Sure, you could buy a more capable off-roader straight from the factory, but where's the fun in that? In the end, it's not just about what you build. It's the memories that you make along the way. The breakdowns, the fixes, the laughs. That's what car culture is all about. So, yeah, it might break more than a Jeep, but the stories we tell, worth every busted transfer case. So what do you think? Would you take on a crazy build like this? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow along for more bad ideas turned into epic adventures. Until next time, keep building, keep breaking, and keep the passion alive.